Hi guys, this is Jake from J&G. This is all in one morning, so it's why I'm wearing the exact same PJs. Yeah, I wanted to redo my Blur review, which it's a pain, but I realised I wanted to be even more lenient to it because I don't know. There's not many albums like that, so I wanted to add this to my collection of my top 10 albums, basically. Um, so, yeah, this is their 1997 album. This is alongside brilliant albums that year, that absolutely like 10 out of 10 albums. You know, other 10 out of 10 albums like Urban Hymns and OK Computer. This album was brilliant for music, like my favourite year for music overall. Um, and yeah, this album is, probably has my favourite song on it. I mean, you start off with Beetlebum and then you go into song two of their best songs, really. I mean, that's a brilliant start. And then, you know, the basically the singles on this are fantastic. You know, like On Your Own is wonderful as well. But the album has an overall kind of murkier feel to it than the rest of their albums. And through watching various things, I know that, and listening to their other albums, I realised that this was, sounds like if it wasn't for Damon Albarn's familiar voice, this ain't the same band. It sounds incredibly different, but it's my favourite album they did, and it's fantastic. So I think the backstory to this was that the band was in kind of disarray. All their personal lives had basically been mucked up through success, and in different ways. They're all big messes, basically. Damon had broken up with Justin Frischman, I think, and Graham was hiding himself away from the rest of the band. And then, I know Dave had drink problems, and Alex was going through his own kind of like, basically, really just disliking the way the press was basically just, getting at them all the time. So they wanted to shift away, and this album does that. In fact, I've looked at statistics, and they only sold, I think, they only went platinum for this album, whereas the last albums they'd gone triple platinum, 4 times platinum, stuff like that. Or at least I think that was, they had massive success with those albums. So, it was a big departure from the sound, and like songs like Countryside Balladman just show, that's the third track, and that's like this murky kind of, and it shows the Pavement influence. They've been very vocal about the fact Pavement influenced them. I love Pavement, I particularly like Slanted and Enchanted. That's a brilliant album. I should review that one time, actually, because that might be in my 10 out of 10s. I'm not sure, maybe a bit off that, but it's definitely one of my favourite albums. So they're influenced by like Pixies as well, which is probably my favourite band. That and them, Radiohead probably. But they were influenced by a lot of different artists, and from American kind of side of things, and it's very evident. Like Death of the Party, for instance, is like basically, in fact, them saying we don't want to be part of Britpop anymore, which a lot of there's a lot of debate around this, but and like people give different sources. I don't know if there's debate, but the kind of boundaries of when Britpop ended are kind of laxed. You can, but as far as I'm concerned, this was their final Britpop album, and it was kind of like this year Britpop went kind of dark, because you had Urban Hymns, you had Blur the album, and everything, even Supergrass, In It For The Money. The albums had a little bit more of a kind of louder kind of feel to them, and a little bit darker, slightly. So, and particularly this album, and there's definitely a more kind of a more kind of pessimistic view, and in fact they were celebrating British culture a bit ago, but they, Damon in particular, I know, was kind of now they didn't like, they were kind of unhappy with, for a bit they were quite unhappy with the fact that, basically the British view of them, because, you know, Oasis had released, the previous year had released more, Buster and Morning Glory, a great album that sold phenomenally, and they were working class and certainly a little bit more open about their views. They didn't hold anything back, basically, and people related to them more, and then Blur kind of got the backlash of that. You know, they're inauthentic kind of middle class people, and I prefer Blur. Honestly, I adore Blur, but it's brilliant. You know, the album's kind of covers a lot of different kind of, like, a lot of different kind of sounds though. But within this, there are different. You know, I think the final track, Essex Dogs, is great. That's kind of like, and they use different things. So they don't have orchestras anymore, but they've replaced it with, you know, I know, like, the in that track in particular, there's, like, you know, when you're trying to start a car and you can't start a car, and you know, you're trying to turn the key and it makes that kind of sound, and it won't. Basically, it's that, but they loop that round in Essex Dogs in one of the parts of the track, and, like, the way they use, like, different kind of you know, harsher kind of sounds in order to give the album more of a dark kind of feel is really good. It's just intelligent, you know, how they managed to reinvent themselves from such a British kind of sound to something that was quite a bit more American. There's still a fundamental British undertone to it, but I mean, it's really impressive, and they are definitely, I think, the widest, the band with the widest kind of spectrum of sounds that I know of and I've ever heard. So yeah, brilliant album. I wanted to give it a 10 out of 10, as I think I've said before. 10 out of 10. Fantastic. Pick up this album, listen to it. It's great. Alright guys, see you next time.